morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, in whichever part of the world you are in. And I would like to welcome on behalf of ISP Events and myself, Faisal Shaukat. And just to give you an idea about tonight's event is that it's an International Dogs Day, and we wanted to celebrate this day with this very interesting book, Hector's A Dog Story, which is written, when it was written by a child, but that child is grown now and turned into a beautiful blonde girl now, which I'm going to introduce pretty soon now. But before I introduce her, as I said, ISP Events always takes pride of supporting any form of art and culture in London, in the UK, all over the world, and especially supporting any new talent, whether it's an artist, singer, writer, musician, composer, architect, or any person who represents any form of art. And we would like to support and encourage them by using our platform and providing them the opportunities to, get into the limelight of the world. And tonight's event is part of that whole process of ISP events where we support like this one. And this event is basically organized to launch this wonderful book that's written. I don't want to ruin the whole series to you, but when Renata will come and then she will explain it to you. But just to give you an idea that it's about a dog and the story tells lots of ins and out and plus ups and downs. And there's a great background to that story, and which Renata will explain better. Initially, the book was written in Polish, and then later it was translated into English. So it's available in both versions, both in Polish and English. And this International Dogs Day celebration is part of this whole event, and we wanted to combine it together. My association with dogs is kind of, just to give you an idea, that I used to kind of not very comfortable with dogs, but over a period of time, by knowing a good friend's dogs, even I did not meet them, I did not see them, but virtually I've met, and somehow I felt so connected. And this is how I got into it. And when I saw this book, and then I saw this author and written about the book and the story told by the dog, and I said, wow, this is something really I want to be involved with. And I decided to go on, and I said, okay, let's do this launch event. And here we are tonight. So without wasting any further time, I would like to introduce you to the author of the book. Her name is Renata Kaminska. She, as I said, she wrote this book when she was 12. Welcome, Renata. Thank you for joining.
Hello.
And professionally, she's a marketer, and recently she started her own business to help technology companies with marketing. And also, she also has an ambition to help new authors like her who does not find or who do not find any platform, and she's more than happy to willing and support their ambition of writing book and promoting book. And in the same way, me and her, we want to do this for other authors if they wish to do something similar, maybe a different story, maybe a different background, but more than welcome. Please do get in touch with us, and we'll be more than happy to support if you wish to do so. So Renata is not only a writer and also into marketing, but she's also a blogger. And in her spare time, she travels a lot. And just to let you know, me and Renata, we did a few ventures together, Renata, remember? We traveled a
Of
few times,
course.
and we had such a good experience. Although I did not write the blog, but you ended up writing blogs about them, which is good for me to refresh my memories and remind them. So welcome, Renata. How are you tonight?
I'm great. I'm super excited. I want to say, first of all, like big thank you to you, Faisal, for all the supports from your side, helping me to organize this event. And yeah, and I want to say like welcome to everyone for joining me today. I'm very excited that I can actually talk to you about my book, which looks like
Oh,
that.
I love that title actually. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. So the name of the book is A Hector, a Dog Story. It's originally a book for children, but because of the universal story, it can be also read by the adults as well. And I'm really excited that today I can tell you a bit more about this book, but also a bit about myself. And actually, we can also touch another important topic with Faisal, which is actually the culture nowadays, especially with the pandemic situation, which obviously have a huge impact on that as well. And we'd like to actually discuss this as well a bit more details, how it changed our life and probably how it changed the life of many people nowadays, and how it can be probably even be increasing in the new, let's say, reality for the future, not just in the case of the books, but generally if we talk about any kind of the entertainment. And
Yeah.
we'll have also some question and answers session as well in the end. So please feel free if you would like to add any question from your side, any kind of the insights, please make it through the comments or any other way if you find it convenient for yourself.
Yeah, just to let everyone know that this whole event is divided into different parts. So we have this introduction about the book by Renata, as she just briefly explained. And there'll be some reading from the book. And for reading, we have another person with us. And I would like to welcome her as well and include it in our little panel of three of us. So I would like to welcome Marta Siwka. She's a media consultant and enthusiast. She spent most of her career working in broadcasting. She loves copywriting and doing voiceovers as well. Welcome, Marta.
Thank you. Thank you very
And
much.
she wants to pursue her career as a radio broadcaster, and of course, maybe in some kind of journalism as well, whether it's print media or electronic media. So, welcome, Marta. How are you doing tonight?
Thank you. I'm very good. I'm also excited. I haven't read the whole book yet, but I've read the first chapter so many times. I feel like I know it by heart now. So, yeah, great introduction, Renata.
That's
Cheers to
good.
you.
That's good. That's good. All right. So, Marta, I will come to you in a bit. So, Renata, let's discuss about the book. Okay, I'm not going to ask you about, how you've been in this pandemic and how did you pass your time, because that we don't want to talk about at the moment, maybe later at some point. But let's jump to the
Sure.
book straight away. Right. You wrote this book when you were 12, right?
Yeah, that's correct. This is
And
originally when
how?
my tool
What?
set came.
Yeah. So what made you at that age when, children are playing games into dolls and going out and doing things, and you decided to write a book? What was the inspiration?
So when I was 12, actually, I originally have my own puppy called actually Rolo, so not Hector. But this little puppy makes a big difference generally in my life because I was the single child. So I very often struggle with loneliness, looking for like a kind of the connection with, friends, and I will be always supported and surrounded by the adults. So actually, when finally I get this puppy, I find that it's a very smart creature, which can actually give you the unconditional love. If you maybe some of you heard very famous sentence of the Josh Billings, he said actually that the dog, it's the only creature in the world that love you more you than actually loves itself. And I think it's a very true. And this is how I actually felt about my kind of this, let's say, kind of the special friendship with my dog, and in the way how he impacted to make it a bit, let's say, brighter, and also change my way of thinking about the animals in the case how they feeling. Actually, I really truly believe that they have kind of the personalities and they can really be huge part of our life and have like also uh, kind of the like real connection with the human, even if they cannot really speak our language, but by the way how they behave, how they look at us, they can really fully communicate with us and make our life actually looks even better. So this is how came the concept that I was kind of the inspired by my dog to write the book. And this is how I started the whole project that time. And obviously, I didn't finish when I was 12. For some reason, I decided to leave it for the later. And then I come back to this idea when I was originally 30, and again to start, kind of the reburn. Let's say this whole story, give a bit of my own insights from being like an adult as well, and then start to fully work on the case to make like a real book with the illustrations and etc.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you that you started at the age of 12, but you did not finish. And so what percentage of the book that you wrote at that age, and what was the like kind of remaining that you completed at the later stage?
Uh, it's kind of the little sad story behind it, because when I originally wrote this story, as I said, I was 12 and I made it for the competition as well. And that time I heard that my story is a bit too serious and to be a bit too sad for somebody who's 12. So obviously I take it like like a child, I take it very personally. And then I said, okay, so I never want to read this story anymore, because it was kind of the heartbreak for me. But then accidentally one day, my mom, she found it, the text, like somewhere in the shelf, and she just sent me, said, well, maybe you can just read it and get some thoughts about it, how you feel it now reading when you're already adult. And when actually I started, I find at that time still so connected with that, and that the message which I tried to set that day, it's so actual, that then I decided actually to share it also with some children and parents and ask them how they feel it about it. And the result was that the children who actually read my book, they were much more younger than me, because they were like 9, 10, 11. And they fully understand the book. They fully understand the message which I was trying to send through it. And they basically asked me like, hey, when will be the next book? Because I want to hear what will be happen later on with the Hector. So this was kind of the insight for me, that the generation also changed in case of the children, that now nobody will say that if you're 12, you're actually too young for that. You might be even too old maybe, because the children now grow much more quicker. And obviously the life generally nowadays is also, I think, much more tough than it used to be. We're growing much more faster. And that's why I think it's very important to maybe bring this kind of the book, which does not only talk actually about the animals' feelings, but what I mostly am trying to bring with the story, I'm touching the different stage of our life when we're going through the friendship, when we're going through the first love, when we sometimes also lost somebody, like a member of our family. We're trying to actually ask our kind of the questions like, is the God exist? What is happening with the people when they die? Why people get sick, and etc. And I think this is kind of the very difficult topics which very often they are somehow missed in the literature for children, because obviously they are not easy one to discuss with your parents. And from some parents, I also know that they're trying to really avoid to talk about this kind of the topic as well, because they find it difficult how to start the conversation to really like touch this kind of the things, because children have also different level of sensitivity, right? So I find it that my book somehow can help them actually, because when you have the character of the dog inside the book, it's a bit like less personal somehow than if you will have like a human talking inside the book. But somehow, because it's a puppy, the children easily can associate themselves with Hector, with his feelings and what he's going through. And then they find it that this is actually story what can be for everyone, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you just mentioned, because all these authors who write for children, especially, I always wonder, the language of the book, because you need to somehow connect with children, and you need to write and speak the language on a level where those children could associate and connect with themselves. So it's interesting, because I don't know if I have seen any author who started a book at the age of 12, let's say did halfway, and then finish in the next 18 years, and then complete the rest of the book. So basically your starting point would be like as when you were a child. So your comprehension of things and understanding of things was that of a child. But then when you grow up and you wrote the remaining bit and the remaining part of the book after 18 years time. So, the way you think, the way you see people, the way you see environment and the world changes, our perception changes. So do you think the language that you use initially at the age of 12 and when you wrote the remaining part, how did you manage the, the connection of that language, the consistency, if I would say?
Yeah, it was kind of the challenge because, as you said, definitely when you're a child, you're speaking and you're writing a bit different way, obviously. But what I find myself, I think that the most important when you speak very direct and simple to the people, doesn't matter who's your audience, if it's a child or the adult. This is the key what I was trying to actually follow up when I was, let's say, continue with the writing and adding a few things, but still trying to feel like very simple way, very direct. And again, I think what was also the most important for me, I was trying to also avoid any kind of the judgment inside, let's say, my comments, which I add additionally, because I still want to make this universal story for everyone. So it doesn't matter which religion, which background you are, which race you are, you will find that this story can, and this language can actually talk to everyone. And that was kind of the compromise which I was trying to do also in the end when I was coming with the, let's say, editing everything also like an adult, that it has to be very simple and a very direct way of speaking, not overcomplicated. Like a dog, So I was thinking like, hey, like if I would be a dog, the dog are like a children. They see the things straight away. And they just don't think too much. They see and they say whatever they see exactly. So this is how I was trying to also, let's say, put myself a bit in the shoes of the kind of the dog and think how he can actually perceive the reality from his angle.
Yeah, and you also have these illustrations included in the book. So tell us about a bit, how did you come up with the idea and how those illustrations are like, connecting with the story?
So illustration was kind of the big challenge for me, to be honest, because obviously I had some kind of the vision how I'm, let's say, imagine the Hector, like a dog, and the other characters as well. But it wasn't really clear for me also the way how they will look like. And the reason was mostly because of the race of each of the dog, which was coming originally from my imagination. So when actually I was asking like how this kind of the mix of the dogs can look in the reality, nobody actually give me kind of the clear answer for that because the mix was pretty unusual. But then I actually decided to look for like a graphic illustration who are specializing basically for the book covers for children's. And I made kind of the competition, which basically I shared with 3 artists, 3 first chapters of the book without giving any kind of the comments from my side, just to ask them, hey, imagine and just tell me how you imagine that. And then I get then I received the first drafts of, or let's say, of the way how the Hector would look like. Then I pick up 2 artists and I ask both of them to create the full cover for me. And based on that, then I actually decided that this one, which we currently can see, this is how I see that Hector can look like, and this is how it's somehow appealed to me that this is exactly how the dog should look like, this kind of the puppy. And this is actually how I started. And then obviously I have like a very detailed briefs with the illustrator, giving him full insights, what I would like to have in each of the illustration, what kind of the message I would like to send, and how more important it is that the illustration has to be also connected with the text by itself, because obviously the copy by itself is the most important, because this is let's say the content is the key here. The illustration is something what is helping a bit with the imagination, especially the younger children, in case that they can really place themselves next to the Hector and really follow up with him like a character in a different situation, and play a bit with the imagination. And that was basically the goal, why I want to make the illustration very colorful and very appealing, maybe a bit like also kind of the old style, but that was the reason mostly behind it.
So do you mind if you show us like some illustrations right now, if you have the book with you, just for everyone to have a quick look?
Sure. Let me see if it will be possible.
And so you had 2-3 different versions of Hector, and then you decided to go with this particular version that we have it on the cover now, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of changes in the meantime, but I find some kind of the connection also with the illustrator.
That's interesting.
And actually, all the people who I used to work about this project, I find like you have to really connect with the people and they have to connect with the story. Yeah. And when it happened, then the cooperation is very easy because somehow they really understand your thoughts and your needs and they really try to do the best from their side because they really feel it, you know. So I can show probably to the screen. I'm not sure how the quality will be visible.
Come. Just an idea. Oh, that's
but okay, so this is how it looks. One of the illustration in the beginning.
And can we see the cover as well, please? The title of the book?
Sure. That's the cover. That's our main character, Hector.
The puppy.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have two other important characters in his life, which the white dog is obviously his mom, while the other dog is his best friend. And hopefully, if I write the second book, we will meet these characters again next to him.
Okay.
And actually, I want to show you something also special for me. Because many people ask me, like, this is the back cover, and obviously you can see that there's like me with some dog, and this is not the dog which is my dog. It's a dog which I met once in London in some coffee place, and I really find it connected. So I started to regularly meet with this dog.
Oh, really?
And the owner of the dog gave me this kind of permission that when we're meeting in the coffee place, I can spend like at least 1 hour just sitting with this dog and have a good time. And it's actually the dog which it's remind me my original dog. And I think this is again like something about the connection that when I see this particular dog, I just find that, hey, he looks like, it's actually her in this case, looks actually like my original dog, because my original dog, it's actually this one. I don't know if everyone can see that very good.
It's very blur, but yeah. What's the name of your dog? Your dog?
So original name was Rolo.
Rolo.
R-O-L. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Because he was looking like a rolling small puppy thing.
So why didn't you get the name Rolo instead of Hector?
That's a very good question. Sometimes people ask me why actually I didn't use the same one. I don't know. I think when it's the whole process of the book came, I just like use my imagination, and for some reason I pick up this name, and I also changed the race. So to be honest, it's really difficult for me to really remind myself why it's happened like that. But basically, all characters and the situations happening in the book, somehow they have been associated with my own experience from the childhood. And that's why I also placed the action of the book during the Second World War as well, because when I was a child, I was very somehow fascinated about this period of the time, and I watched actually a lot of fairy tales around it. So then I pick up some of the things from there as well.
Right. Okay. Now, obviously, we have seen some glimpses of the book and the cover and a couple of illustrations. It would be nice to have some reading as well. So let me just bring back Marta. She will read us a few paragraphs from the book. So can we have Marta now, please? Hi, Marta. Welcome back.
Hello, Faisal. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah, so I was telling everyone that, Renata wrote this book when she was 12, and there was a gap of 18 years, and then she finished it at the age of 30, and then we were trying to understand, and she showed us the title and some illustrations. So I was telling everyone that now we will have some flavor of the contents of the book as well. So kindly just read, your favorite paragraph or the one you like most, and please read it for us. Thank you.
Thank you. I picked the first chapter. The title of the chapter is Freedom. So I'll start here. My name is Hector, and I was born on 28th of November 1939 in a small cottage on the outskirts of Vienna. My mother was the most beautiful dog around, a white-haired lean Havanese named monkeys. Unlike me, my mama was a purebred. She grew up in a beautiful white villa with a vast garden full of green plants and flowers. Besides 10 rooms being at the disposal of only one family of 4, there were 5 more guest rooms, each of them equipped with their own bathroom and a dressing room. The house owners were well known and respected in the area, and often organized receptions for up to 100 people. The house was surrounded by a high brick wall, behind which only the highest trees stuck out. My mama used to eat from silver bowls, and her doghouse could house at least 3 more dogs. Despite that, she felt very lonely and isolated from the rest of the world. She used to spend her days lazing around or playing with children who treated her as no more than a toy. However, living in the house of the wealthiest family in the area also had its advantages. Not only did Mama have several bowls, but even her own cook, who prepared her meals as carefully as he did for other members of the house. All the products were of top quality and made up to the owner's special order. Mama was brushed every day and looked after so well that her white hair always shone in the sun like a knight's armor. In a word, she was lucky, and she probably would have continued to live this wonderful life if one day she hadn't met Rex, my father. Rex, unlike my mama, was an ordinary mongrel. His origin was not fully known. On the one hand, his posture slightly resembled a German shepherd. He was tall and well-built. However, his brown and sun-faded hair revealed his low status and the lack of proper care. It was clear that he was washed very rarely. His fur was lackluster, thin and brittle, and what was more, full of bite marks from fleas and ticks. Despite that, his posture revealed pride and belligerence, which would have been attractive to many. He had neither certificates nor trophies, but he was an exceptionally cheerful and lively dog who spent his time chasing sheep. Yes, my dad was a farmer's dog. Despite their differences, chemistry developed between my parents. The fact that Rex fell in love with my mama at first sight does not surprise me at all. But what did my mama see in Rex? I asked her about it once. She explained that he was a free dog. I admit, at the time, I did not exactly understand what she meant. Now, I realize what freedom was to her. As a purebred dog, she spent her time mostly at home or in the company of other dogs as distinguished as her. Her owners made it explicitly clear what she was allowed to do and what she was not. Rex, on the other hand, was free to do whatever he pleased. He could leave the house at night, roll in the grass, and lead a busy social life. He was carefree to such an extent that when my mama got pregnant, he simply ran away from the farm. To this day, I still wonder whether he did that out of fear of fatherhood or of his master. No matter what his reason, I am still angry with him for leaving my mama alone to her fate. Because of this, I lack memories of playing together with my father. I sometimes wonder how it would have been if he hadn't left us. Would he have been a super daddy? Will I ever have a chance to meet him? Sometimes in my dreams, I imagine that my dad returned to us. His idealized figure was somehow different, more mature and understanding how much he had hurt us. We'd spend each day together running in the fields where my dad would teach me different tricks. He would spend all his evenings together with me and Mama in the garden, watching sunsets and listening to the night concerts that nature could offer. That is how my life could have looked like if my dad had returned. Who knows? I may wake up one day and see him standing over me and smiling. It is still hard for me to accept that he has completely forgotten about us. That's a sad ending of the first half of the first chapter, but I will end here and maybe read a little bit later if you wish me to. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marta. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but I think it has lots of emotions. And if you imagine, like, a puppy, and then all these emotions going through and looking up to others to, help him, guide him, take care of him. So it's the same as like a child. When we are in a vulnerable situation, we look up to someone who could help us and, look after, take care of us. So I would like to bring back Renata, please. Here you go, Renata. So Renata, when Marta was reading this particular paragraph and excerpts from the book, it has a bit sort of, sad theme to it, and I'm sure like there's a happy ending in the end, correct? And the book where he gets reunioned with the parents, right?
Yes, I mean, like someone of my readers said that my book is like a kind of the emotional roller coaster. Uh, because the reason is that you have this kind of the up and downs, you have sad and happy moments, and this is actually how the life looks like, I think, for the most of the people, right? That there's not like always just sad moments and just happy moments. We're going through a different stage, through different situations, but what is important for us, and I think also for this dog, is that we have to always believe that there's happiness waiting for everyone in the end of the journey. And this is actually how the puppy is also behaving in the book. He's always believed that in the end he will find his happy home, and in the end he will meet his family and again, and etc. So he never lost his hope. And even if there are sometimes like sad moments, there are also a lot of happy moments as well, bringing to his life.
Yeah, I think it gives us a very clear message, especially in these circumstances where the whole world is going through with this pandemic.
Yeah.
And with this COVID-19 situation where everybody is, going through a difficult period of time. Thousands and hundreds and thousands of people have lost their loved ones, or some are struggling, and it's the hope that, clings, we need to cling it to, and then make sure that, we don't lose it. And no matter whatever the situation is, because we always say the time is a healer and then time heals. So it's a matter of time, and you need to just hope for the best. And as you said, this gives you the message. And initially when I was introducing, and we said today is the International Day of Dog. So generally it's been said that, dog is men's best friend. But I would not use the word men, because that would be like, okay, it's not, it's also women's best friend, right? So dog is human's best friend, right?
Yeah.
So there's a very famous Czech author and writer. I would read a few lines from what he said about dog, and his name is Milan Kundera, sorry. He says that dogs are a link to paradise. They don't know evil or jealousy or discontent. To sit with a dog on a hillside on a glorious afternoon is to be back in Eden, where doing nothing was not boring. It was peace. So I found it really interesting. And these photos that's been shown, it's connected to another story, which I'm going to tell later. So please excuse, but they are nice pictures. We'll talk about them at some point. So Renata, can I come back please with you? Yeah, so I was telling that those photos that been shown, that were for another story, which I'm going to share at some point. But I found this writing very interesting. And, even this writing, this author says about that sitting with dog when you're keeping quiet, it's not like keeping quiet, where it's not boring. It's like you are in paradise. It's like you are sitting and doing nothing, but it's basically it's peace. So a lot of time when you're alone, let's suppose, and you have a dog or any other pet, for any argument's sake, and you have this connection, you have this feeling that you're not alone, and you have this peace and comfort. So what's your thought about it, Renata? Because you had a dog with you. Unfortunately, you don't have it with you now, but you had a dog and you had this bonding with the dog. So how was it for everybody else to know, and how did you feel about it?
Yeah, it was exactly as you said. Like I really feel like a strong bond with my dog. And because I also was a single child, I find it like this dog more kind of like brother for myself. And I can say that it was fully member of our family as well. So he, in some moment, he get like really connected also with my parents. So when the day actually when he passed away, I have to say that it was this kind of the day when all of us, we really felt like really member of our family really is missed. So it takes us, like all of us, a lot of time to really get, let's say, kind of get used to the fact that he's not anymore there. I mean, I still remember that, let's say, like a few years later, I was, let's say, visit my parents, and the lynch was, for example, still hanging next to the door, because for some reason my dad find that he's still like feeling that he wants to still looks to this thing to remind him that the dog, and somehow we're still like feeling this little steps of the dog going inside. When you put the ring, then he normally will like bark. And so yeah, I think it's very strong emotional connection which we can build with the animals. And actually, especially with the dogs, I mean, there's also some scientific proofs behind it that, for example, in the genetics, the dogs were basically changing a lot of things around the way how they look like, especially in case of the bones. And one of the reasons was because they want to better communicate with the human, which I find it really amazing. And yeah, and also when you mentioned about the pandemic, I think that was kind of the very interesting experience for many people as well, because I personally don't have now a dog, but I had this kind of the feeling one day like, oh, it would be so nice to be locked down with some dog inside. But in the same time, many people have been locked with the animals. And I think it was kind of the also difficult approach in the case that, hey, you're locked, but your dog is somehow locked with you as well now, because it's never been used to have you like 24 hours in the house.
Yeah.
Just, like because everyone is going normally to the work. But I think that probably people who have some animals at home, they probably find it to go a bit easier for the lockdown than probably people who living by themselves. I might be wrong, but this is kind of my thing that they find a lot of help in this case. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Well, I think I completely agree with you, especially for those people who live on their own. So companionship, I think, is the biggest thing they miss. But in general, with this pandemic, especially, I believe that it has reminded us as humans that we plan a lot in our lives, and we do long-term planning for years and years and decades, even personal planning and business planning and countrywide planning, global planning. But when something like this happens, then all planning goes away. And then we try to understand that, what matters in life, what is the most important thing in life, all those planning that you have done, or those little things that we don't appreciate in normal circumstances. For instance, like, when we were in lockdown for almost 3 months, we could not go out. And many people who do not have gardens or any patios or any outdoor space to go to. So they could
Yeah.
literally open the window. And I wonder if their window opens to, another house or another flat or another property, which does not give them any sort of view. And one of my friends, she's from New Zealand, and when she went back to New Zealand, they were quarantined for 2 weeks in a hotel outside, just near the. So she was begging with the hotel administration to give her a room with a window that opens, on outside, and at least she can see. Because imagine you've been locked in that hotel room for 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
no, but you don't see a human. Forget about anything else. Even she was saying that the staff who was serving food to her, they just leave the food outside the door, knock, and then run back as if like, what's happening. And then she opens the door, she looks left, right. She doesn't see anyone. She gets the food inside and then eats herself, watch telly, and that's it. So this is how she spent 2 weeks in quarantine. So imagine those people who don't have any companion. And I strongly believe that I'm sure lots of people, or maybe most of us, or maybe all of us, should actually learn this lesson that the little things that make us happy, we should appreciate them. we should value them, whether it's talking to someone, whether it's going out for a walk, breathing fresh air, going outside in your garden, saying hello to your neighbor, and
Yeah.
seeing how you are, asking, and so on and so forth. But in the rat race, in the normal circumstances, we just forget about it, and it's such a shame that we lose some sort of values in that case. But I hope, yes, many, as I said, thousands and thousands of people have lost their loved ones. It has brought so much misery, so much suffering to many of us. But I think at the same time, millions and millions of people have learned those little lessons of what's important in your life, those little things that we take for granted, but we need to appreciate them more and more. The companionship, especially, as you said. So I've
Yeah.
seen like many who, even the couples or families, they were hardly spending time together, but only on weekends. But now they had to bear with each other somehow or the other. But some were really enjoying this time and finding ways to work out how to make it more effective and more interactive and more fun. So I think it's yes, it has a bad and sad things to look at, but this pandemic also gives us lots of positive aspirations to look up to and go to. And for future, at least, we should appreciate little things that matters most in our lives, which we really don't appreciate generally, but I think we should from now onwards. I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope for that, because this is how it should be. And I also believe that people somehow bring themselves a bit closer also to the culture. Maybe
Yeah,
they watch a bit more, theater, or visit some museum, which normally will not do that. But obviously, when we have this online version, that it was much more possible to do that. So I also believe that somehow even if we are somehow close to the culture,
yeah,
uh, we can still get it closer. I mean, because you're working actually in the industry of the events, right? Which
yeah,
obviously it means for you that there's like nothing actually happening around, right? Because I think it's first time in like centuries when we really cancel like biggest of the biggest events, right? Like even Olympics, which never actually happened, until only happened once, if I remember correctly, during the war, and that's all. Otherwise, they always keep going. But again, because of the whole situation, they decided. So I'm wondering how you look to that. Like, is like really culture? It's closed. Is it locked, or it's actually now it has like a different approach?
Well, as far as the cultural scenes are concerned, I think it's global. Everywhere, I think from March, especially in the UK, everything is shut. And I've been talking to industry professionals, my colleagues in the industry, with the events field, all the theaters, orchestras that I work with and collaborate with, all the Western productions, theaters. Foreseeable future in 2020, it doesn't look like that large scale events could happen, because social distancing and those large scale events do not work together. They don't go hand in hand, because it's
Yeah,
not financially viable to run a, let's say, 1,000 capacity venue on just 20% of the audience, because the fixed cost is same whether you run it for one person or you run it for the packed house. So your fixed cost is same, and to run a show or run a concert and put it together, it requires a lots of effort. At the back end, it needs a lot of planning, and there's
yeah,
so much goes into. Generally, people go into and enjoy an hour and a half concert and applause or dislike or or comment and
yeah,
then come out. But to put that 1.5 hour, 2 hours show, it's months and months of planning and so much at the back end that goes into. And
yeah,
I feel really sorry for everyone who, I'm sure it's not only events industry, hospitality industry, and travel and tourism industry, and many of the other industries being suffered. But because of this pandemic, this is an in-person environment. It cannot be run from home. So people who are belonging to that industry, they have to work physically to get there. They cannot perform their work from home. So for them, it's a really sad bad. And many of the musicians, singers who work freelance, they not even covered through this government furlough scheme and so on. So they are financially affected. Many companies been, gone into
yeah,
administration, and we are kind of, the cultural scene is very dried up at the moment. So, in my humble capacity, if I when I start doing these, outdoor activities, making sure that everything is, as per the guidelines, but make sure people get some sort of activity to give them busy and just reconnect socially. That always brings people together. So now it's not possible to do those large scale events, but at least we can do those small scale events where there's no large gathering or big gathering, open space. And I was working with one of my friends, and we started doing events in the car park, big car park. So people come in the
Mm.
car, the watch and in the big screen. But obviously there's a limit to it. You can't do everything. And I feel really sorry because tomorrow, I know you also like it, BBC Proms at Royal Albert Hall was meant to start from tomorrow. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, this year, they are not doing it as they were doing it before. And what's happening now is behind closed doors. So there'll be no audience. There'll be few shows they'll be running, and they'll be on air. You can watch it on YouTube or on Royal Albert Hall website. This is one of my favorite events in the world, and I
Mm.
always every year I collaborate with all the orchestras and especially Royal Albert Hall and all these big venues. Unfortunately, we have to wait until next year for that.
Yeah, it's really sad what you're saying, but in the same time, I'm believing that maybe we can find now a bit more space for books, for example, and
Exactly.
especially for families to sit together and read together.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, for example, here question from Pablo. He's actually asking if we can say a little more about the lessons that this book can has for children.
Mhm.
So actually answering that, like I think that this is actually one of the lessons which I would like to promote with the book, that we are living now in we used to live in the world full of technology, right? Everything is digital, everything is online, everything is very fast. Obviously now with the current situation, everything is even faster and
Yeah.
everything is even more push online and in digital way. So I, for example, believe that the book is like a very healthy alternative, because in this world full of the screens, we can for a bit moment just switch off ourselves, okay, sit with our child and have this kind of the moment, just like me, let's say like a mother or father, just with my child, and just enjoy this. And I think the book might be a good solution for that. And what I mentioned in the beginning, the book is talking about the journey of the puppy, right? That he has a different difficulties in his life. Sometimes he's asked about like, questions like, hey, if the God exists, or why these people behave like this. He's basically asking plenty of questions.
Mhm.
And and this is actually my book about. I'm really happy that I could put so many questions inside it, but in the same time I didn't give any answer to any of this question, and I did it on the purpose,
Yeah.
because the key reason of having this book, with the child reading by itself or reading with the parents, is open to the dialogue, to start to really talk, not just like sending the, hey, you can read it in the Google, or you can ask, I don't know, somebody else, but the parents can really sit with the children, and also based on their own, let's say, beliefs, their own religion, backgrounds, experience, they can really share with the children what they think in the different topics, and also share a bit of their own emotions, right? So I still remember, for example, one story of one of the readers, like there's a mom of the very small child, actually. The child is only 4, okay, so very little one. And she one day read the book together with him. And after the book, the child asked her mom first time, um, after many years, like, mommy, what do you think, like, what happened with our dog? Do you think that this dog is now happy in the heaven? And then mom looked at him, and she didn't want to be sure like what she should say to him, because he's very small, right? And to also not hurt him, because the reason why he asked this question was also because he had a puppy in the past, and this puppy passed away in some accident.
Wow.
So that's why it was kind of the traumatic also, event for this child. But then before the mom answered the question, the little boy said, mom, I think he's happy. I think he's somewhere there. I still don't know where, because I don't really understand it, but I think he's somewhere very happy.
Yeah.
And then, they open this kind of the very special, I would say, discussion between this little boy and his mother to talk about like basically death, not just obviously of the dogs, but generally like people coming, animals coming to the world, and one day they leaving, and it's really difficult to talk about it. But I think the earlier stage you take the way to talk about this topic with the child, it will be better for this child to go through, later with this kind of the situation, because as you said, life it's not easy, right? So my work is basically try to open very difficult topics around different events which can happen to each of us, and then I basically leave it to parents to make this topic more deep based on their own experience, their own beliefs, and I actually on this way what they would like to really share with the children, on their own.
Yeah, I would say it's very interesting what you just mentioned, that you did not answer questions in the book just because you wanted parents to interact with their children, and if they have questions, so they can sit down and talk to them. So it opens doors for brainstorming between a child and the parents, and I think it's a good habit, where even there's a book which is related or written for children, but as in the intro I said that this is a book for children mainly, but anyone with a young heart can also read. And that could be a parent, that could be brother, sister, elder was, anyone who was there. Okay, just before we move on to the next topic, I would like to make sure that everyone knows that they can write any question in the comment box wherever they're watching, on my personal Facebook page, or Hector and Friends Facebook page, or Marta's, Renata's, anybody's Facebook page. So please just write your question in the comment box, and later on we will read out the questions, and Renata will answer those questions to you. So now let's go back and bring Marta into the discussion, and we would request her to read some more paragraphs and interesting passages from the book. So Marta, you've been, you read the book and you found certain paragraphs and certain aspects of the book more interesting than the other. So what's your response to that?
Well, I intentionally picked the first chapter called Freedom because I feel like, it's the first chapter, so it kind of introduces you to the book. And I had a feeling that would be the best choice for the ones who haven't read it yet. So also intentionally, I would like to continue reading on that chapter. Also because freedom is something I really cherish. Maybe that's why.
No, I think everybody cherishes that, this freedom. So I'm sure it's very good for everyone, and we all cherish that.
So I guess I will just start where we left.
Okay, please go on.
And continue. So we we're talking about Hector's mom being pregnant, right? And her father leaving her. So I'll start here. When my mama's owners discovered that she was pregnant, they could not accept this. They knew that the puppy would not have come from any pedigree dog. They were afraid of their friends' reactions, rumors, and most of all, they did not want to bear the cost of raising a mongrel. That is why my mama was sent to a dog shelter, where she was soon adopted by a married couple, the Trapps, who, luckily for her, surrounded her with the proper care and attention. Everything happened so quickly that I do not remember much from that day. The only picture I still have in my mind is the white house with a high wall becoming more and more remote, and big tears from my mama's eyes. I have no recollection of how the shelter looked or how we got there. I do not remember whether we were treated well there or whether we had any friends. For some reason, I have a gap in my memory. I found myself lucky to live in the Trapps' home. They were elderly people who did not have their own children. They loved me and cared for me as if I were their own son. They were not very wealthy, but despite this, they tried to provide us with the best conditions. I could always count on a clean bed and a warm meal. In winter, they allowed us to sleep in the house so that we could not get cold in our outdoor wooden doghouse. They were both very cheerful as well, and I liked spending time with them. Ted Trapp, Despite his old age, he was full of energy, and even after a hard day's work in the field, found time to play with me. Our favorite game was searching for a ball. Mr. Trap used to take a red leather ball in his hand and then throw it away. My job was to find it, which I always managed to do without any problems. With my tail sticking up in pride, I used to grab it with my teeth and release it right in front of Mr. Trap's feet. He would clap, then tenderly stroke me on my neck. There were days when Mr. Trap was especially fit and the ball flew very far. Searching for it used to last a bit longer, but then it was even more fun. I felt like a real detective. We used to come back home when it got dark. There, in the open doorway, stood Margaret Trapp, waiting for us with a smile on her face. She used to kiss her husband's red cheek with affection and then tickle me around my neck. It was clear that these two loved each other very much, and even dining together was a great pleasure for them. I felt so lucky to live in their house. Miss Trapp was a wonderful cook who also cared that my mama and I were always well fed. My mama also seemed to be happy, although she now lived in less lavish conditions than she was used to. From time to time, she found it hard without her conveniences. She tried to be brave and not to reveal that she was not fine. Her former owners were far from tender and affectionate, but they provided her with a high standard of life. We could not expect the same from the elderly Trapps, who had to count each penny. However, my mama respected them and loved them very much. She appreciated everything they had done for us and enjoyed the love they gave us. It helped her tolerate everyday inconveniences. That's the end of chapter 1, freedom. And I highly encourage you to continue. I hope you found some interest and you feel like there's more to be said, and there's definitely more to be said. So hopefully we'll pick up the book soon and read on.
Oh, thank you, Marta. I think what you were reading about is the continuation from where the puppy was left and then carried on and continued.
Yeah.
I would like to share another story, which is not Hector, but it's a dog's related story. And maybe I would like Renata also to join us in the screen so everybody can join this wonderful story. And also there's the photos that Renata was showing earlier. It's all connected to that. So Renata, I mentioned about that beautiful story about a dog. And I would just like to share with you and everybody else. Meanwhile, maybe others might, ask any questions. So we can have the questions after this. So this story is about a dog named Hashiko. It was, and the story was in Japan. So it was about man and his dog. It's a friendship as old as time. And one of the most well-remembered stories in the history of dog named Hashiko and his owner, Ueno. In fact, the dog lived for over 100 years ago. It was, I think, in 1920s, early 1920s, so almost 100 years ago. And the interesting and the most fascinating story that I've really come across about the dog, that the dog was born in a farm in 1923, adopted by a professor of agriculture at the University of Tokyo. His name was Dr. Ueno. So the two became friends and they fall in love with each other and they fall into a daily routine where Ueno and Hashiko would walk together to the train station where Ueno would pet Hashiko goodbye, and before getting onto the train, he goes to the work. So then what Hashiko does, he just waits at the platform for his master Ueno to come back. And meantime, the local shopkeepers and station workers would keep an eye on him and even feed him treats or food, so just to keep him busy by the time Ueno comes back. So this routine continues for several years until one day a tragedy unfolded. Ueno never came back. And Renata, do you please mind if you just show the photos of the one which I requested you, so everybody could relate to what I'm reading now. So it shows you the photo of the dog as well. So one day when Yurino went to work, and then he never came back. So this is the photo of this dog, Hashiko, that was in Japan. So he never came back, and the dog was wandering around what happened. Obviously, he did not know that his owner, Professor Yurino, suffered a brain hemorrhage and he died. So what happened after that? The dog did not have any idea. So the loyal dog continued to wait for his owner's return at the platform at that station. Every day, clockwork, the train would appear, so he would so. So he always waits and waits and waits, and Yurino never came back. Then Heishi never gave up his hope, and he constantly stayed there at the platform. And all those people who used to see him daily being dropped by his master Yurino, and then he collects him in the evening and they'll go back. But this time, because Yurino passed away, so he was not there anymore. Eventually, after 9 years, just imagine this dog, 9 years, he constantly stayed at that platform, waited for his master Yurino to come back. Of course, he did not. And eventually he passed away after 9 years. And he passed away on 8th March 1935. His body was taken to the train station baggage room. You'll see a photo soon, which is taken inside the baggage room. We're surrounded by Yunu's wife, that's you can see this one, as well as staff members at the station. And in the memory of this dog, a bronze statue of Hashiko has been erected outside the station, and his body was preserved and then kept at the National Science Museum of Japan in Tokyo. And one of these station entrances was named after Hashiko as well. And one of the train lines was also called Hashiko line. So, this saying that dog is human's best friend, I think this story clearly endorses this the fact that we have been talking about. I'm not sure how other animals or other pets, whether it's a cat or any other pet, would be, as closely binded with humans or not. But I would like to ask both Marta and Renata, do you think that dogs are the most connected to humans, and as compared to the other pets that people have their homes, or like cats behave probably in the same way, or maybe other animals?
Who wants to be first?
From my own experience, I can say that definitely dogs are. I mean, I've got a dog who's completely obsessed with me, I would say, which works the other way around as well. And he really feels me like every time. So when I feel unwell, I can see that he understands it by the look of his eyes, by the way they become blurred as well. Like if he was kind of like feeling it, feeling me, my feelings. It's something incredible. I don't know how to. I had my German Shepherd. I had another one before, and I had a very close connection with him as well. And the day he passed away, I had to get another dog. It was literally like, I can't have that gap because I feel so bonded. I didn't see, thankfully, my brother and my dad made in a way that I wouldn't see my dog pass already like on his maker's side. But the same day I was like, I really need to fill in this gap. And the interesting story about my dog, my current German Shepherd, is that someone stole him a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
From our place. Yeah, and so he was away for 3 months. We didn't find him, and then 3 months later, I joined. There were some workshops that I was doing, theatre workshops in Bristol in the UK, and I remember that day I wasn't feeling well, and I got a phone call from Poland. I wasn't expecting this, so I picked it up, and there was a woman working in a vet clinic in Warsaw, saying that there's a guy who came from a city maybe around 150 kilometers from Warsaw with my dog inside. Wow. He found it in a roundabout next to that city. It's called Łódź. He was on a business trip to Warsaw, and he just picked it because he looked at him and he found it like, well kept and all that. And he was really surprised because he himself had a dog as well. So
Right.
he picked it and he took it to the vet clinic. So on that day, obviously, I was, I confirmed all the details. So I was completely shocked, amazed as well. And I was so far away. So I just called my parents and said, please go and pick him up, because the guy had to travel back to Łódź because he was just on a, very short business trip. So he couldn't really leave the dog in the vet clinic or anything. So that's what happened. So we had this 3-month gap. And I was kind of scared, what happens if I, when I come back home, will he recognize me? What happens? And he literally there was no change. He just jumped on me, wanted to play straight away. He was a little bit lost, but completely but I guess now because he's obviously getting older and he's already 10 years old. Yeah. So for a German Shepherd, it's quite late. And I feel like the bond is even stronger because he went through a micro, let's say, it was like a blood clot that he had in his brain. So he's a bit weak, but at the same time he needs that support and love, even more of that now. Nice. So it's definitely I can definitely confirm that dogs are humans' best friend. But I think the other animal that I didn't really have a close contact with that kind of animal because I'm allergic to it, is a horse. Because I had a friend who had a really, really close connection with the horse as well. So she loves horses and she always found that connection. So I guess, dogs are not the only ones, but for me personally, yes, they are.
So you never had any other cats or any indoor pets that you?
No, cats are very unliked in my family. So my dad hates cats, absolutely hates cats. So there are no cats in the family. Well, we had parrots, when we were children, we had different, we had fish, we had turtles, we had all of that, but you can't really connect with them like this. Yeah. With the dog, you obviously walk the dog, you play with it, you kind of bring it up, Yeah. It's like a little kid. I talk to my dog every day. And that's a norm. Not for everyone, but for me, it's a norm.
Yeah. And Renata, did you ever have, other than your dog, Rolo, did you have any other pet with you?
No, I didn't, but I'm really follow up what Marta said about the connection. So somehow I'm always feeling very easily connected with the animals because I truly believe that, sometimes we're saying that the animals like somebody's behaving like animal, right? Which I always find it I find it always very offensive because I totally cannot agree with that because animals, in my opinion, sometimes they have much more empathy that we as the people have. And there are plenty of the, examples of the amazing friendships between different animals and the people, but not even just like that, but even between, animals. I was recently shocked seeing, for example, a duck in New York, which was basically holding and hugging little puppy during the winter. Oh. Okay, and this duck, and it was a mother duck, and it was a puppy. Okay, and this ducks totally understand that it's cold, the puppy it's freezing, and she's like a mother. Naturally, feel that she has this kind of the need to, to hug this puppy to help to not lose the temperature. Yeah. Or there's one very famous story about the guy, I think from somewhere in the South America, who saved some penguin, and then this penguin is actually going thousands of kilometers every year to just kind of the hug, to this guy and show to appreciate. So I think it's really impressive. Also, last week I was in the trip in Cornwall, and we went to the island with seals, and some of the seals are also the rescue one. And I was so shocked that some of them, they were just coming to the boat so close, just basically you can almost touch them. And the way how they look at us, I would just feel like they look so human inside the eyes that you almost, I just want to just hug them and, say hi, dear seal. So I really believe that's a lot of this kind of the thing. But I think with the dogs, it's something think, very special and unique. And the reason is because of the way how the dog basically become the pet, right? Because obviously there was the white dogs, there was the wolves, and etc. And in some moment the dog become like a regular, let's say, pet kept at house as well, which doesn't happen to most of the other animals. And I think because the dog was in the house, surrounded by the people, and basically be part of the family, that is main the reason why the bond between dogs and the humans becomes so very strong, that they, as Marta mentioned, they almost like really feeling our emotions. They recognize that somebody's in the good humor today, somebody is sick. They even can recognize like the age of the person. I mean, I still remember that, for example, my dog, he was totally behaving differently to me, differently to my parents. And when it was coming my grandma, for some reason he knew this is the grandma. So you have to behave very good.
Wow.
You have to, you have to come very gently to her, look to her, ask for the permission, and then you can just sit next to her on the couch. Well, obviously, when it will be me, he will be basically just jump in. When it will be my dad, he will be like even more crazy. But with my grandpa, he really understands that this is the old lady. She needs some respect. And I find it amazing, like how he knows that, right? And as well, like when somebody was sick in the house, he always came very gentle, look at you, and somehow, like suffer together with you that, oh, you don't feel today good. I just want to be next to you and just, give you my companion, which I find it like amazing, to be honest.
I think it's a respect, as you say, like give and take. So as long as you're not stepping on their tail, then they'll be fine with you, and they would not, get aggressive. Okay, Renata, we were talking about the book. So could you please explain us how it's available for anyone who wishes to purchase the book, and where they can get it? And I also know that you said you're going to announce something tonight special, that there'll be some sort of discount for anyone who would request to purchase book tonight or tomorrow. So could you please explain that?
Sure. So, like kind of the thank you gift for everyone who participate today in the event with us and have time for that. I prepared a special discount, which will be valid until Saturday. It's 20% off, and you can see the code for that. And this code later on can be used on the website, which is hectorandfriends.com. So when you will order the book, you just have to add this code inside, and then automatically your price will be decreased in the checkout. That's the one of the way of buying the book. So going basically to the website and buying directly in the e-shop. Alternatively, you can just send me the email, and then I'm also happy to arrange the pickup for you in the different way as well, instead of just buying the through website, still keeping the discount. And also, if somebody is also from London, I'm also happy to maybe catch up for some coffee, especially if somebody's a real dog lover. And I also can hold the book together with me as well. But I think Faisal will also send the email after the event with a few more details about it. So if some of you don't really remember exactly the name of the website and how to get there, we will share with you all these details as well.
Because anyone who registered through Eventbrite, then I already have the email, so we will respond to the email addresses with the promo code. So just to confirm with you, this promo code expires when? Is it there any day until weekend?
On Saturday. On Saturday.
So this promo code is valid until Saturday, right?
Yes.
So anyone who places the order until Saturday, they'll get the 20% discount.
Correct.
And also, just to clarify, anywhere in the world that can be dispatched, whether you're in the UK, in London, or outside UK, any part of the world, this book can be dispatched to you. Correct, Renata?
Yeah. We deliver worldwide. It's already over 10 different countries which we already sent the book. I'm not sure if we can send to the Arctica, but otherwise I think we are pretty fine.
And by the way, is it available in both Polish and English? Just to make everybody.
Yeah, both versions are available.
Yeah, so they can order. So on the website, will they get the option of both, selecting which version they want?
Yes. And for both also the discount will work as well.
So the promo code is both valid for both Polish version and as well as the English. version,
Yes.
right? So Renata, because I can't see the questions on my screens, I don't know if you have any questions people would have asked you. So
Yes, we had some questions on the top. Most of them, I think, we already answer. One of the questions which I also see, it's like if the book will be also in the electronic version available. So yes, it will be, but later on, because for now, also because we are so digital world surrounded, I'm really happy to promote the paper version of the book for now. But later on, yes, it will be also available electronically. For now, also, because that was another question where you can buy the book for now. So there are basically two places you can buy a book for now. One, obviously, is the website, which I'm sharing with you now on the screen, and we will be also sharing that through the email. Another way, you can also buy the book on the Waterstones issue as well. This is for now, and it will be basically extended in the future for the Amazon as well. But for now, because it's also like a special edition with which I didn't mention in the beginning, but together with the book, for now you will receive also special free gifts, which they will be not available later on when it will be sell on the Amazon, just like just a book.
because I saw the wrapped version and it was very nicely wrapped with few gifts inside as well, and that could be a surprise as well for everyone, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as long,
on Waterstones eShop, not on inside the shops of Waterstones, right? Not in the stores.
No, in the eShop Waterstones,
eShop Waterstones. So online is available, but not in the stores.
No, not yet. Yeah.
Also, because I think we were talking that anybody who wishes to contact you directly, they don't have to pay some transaction fee or booking fee. So could you explain that? So in case if anyone wishes to contact you directly.
So obviously, yes, if there are any, if you go on the online and you use the eShop, I mean, they are not really fees that you actually, like a person buying, you will take it, but obviously I have to pay for the transaction from the bank additionally. So if you buy directly from me by doing the transfer, then obviously I avoiding this kind of the costs. Additionally, as well, the fee which it's for the shipping on the shop might be also decreased if you order from me directly as well, because then obviously I can avoid some of the additional fees, and then you can pay less as well.
Yeah, that's good, because at least now everybody knows that so everyone, just to remind that Hector and Story is available at Waterstones eShop, and also you can order from the website. You can see at the bottom, it's scrolling, is hectorfriends.com, and also you can get it from directly from Renata, her email address that you can write it to, contact@hectorandfriends.com. Or if anybody wishes to contact me directly through my Facebook page or personally, if you know me, send me a message, and I'm more than happy to forward your details and connect you with Renata, and then you can order a book from her. So Renata, would you like to add something and say something else?
First of all, I would like to say big thank you that I could have all of you today with me. I'm very excited that today is actually the day when officially the book is launched, because on the 1st of the June it was kind of the pre-sales, which I started to make it on my website. But from today, and as Faisal mentioned, this is a special day as well, because it's the International Dogs Day. It is special for me as well. And it's also special because the book and the profits which I will have it from the book, they are not really actually coming for myself. So what I decided from the beginning when I started this project, and kind of the thank you also for my dog, I decided that the profits for these books will go to the charities, basically this focusing on the dogs, but also for children as well. So this is how the whole project basically started, and I also opened the cooperation with the particular charities. Some of them are in the UK, some they are in Poland. There's also one in India, which I would like to support with my book, because I truly believe that it's very important that that animals will be part of our life, and there's many amazing places and foundations which trying to actually support the animals, especially in the situation when some people, unfortunately, they live with them alone. And this is kind of my personal approach and insight which I really want to keep it in life. So just the message for you that also you're not just buying the book, but you can also do something good for some animals somewhere in the world, and supporting other people who actually loving the animals by heart so deeply that they also, organizing all these foundations and charities.
Thank you. Marta, would you like to add something, or would you like to share something?
I've been thinking about charities. There is one in Warsaw. I don't know whether Renata actually decided to work with them as well. But yeah, we'll talk about it later. Sorry, I was just so ingrained in my thinking what charities I know that I was like, which one we should work for? Yeah, but yeah, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Renata in English way and in Polish way, because this is how we cross our fingers. We actually don't cross them. We hide our thumbs. So that's how we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you need to hide your thumbs, so you put them inside,
okay.
and then
like this.
Yeah, like this.
Okay. Can we do it together, all three of us now then?
It looks like we are going to, have a fight. So maybe it's better to keep it the English way.
Okay, we do that too as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I keep my fingers crossed and thumbs hidden.
No, thank you very much for tonight. I first of all, before I say goodbye to everyone, I would like to thank everyone who joined tonight. And I had a couple of messages received that there was some error. I don't know what. Some of them could not connect to our event. I apologize, but I'm not aware exactly what went wrong. But if you could not join us, this event will be available recorded at our Facebook pages and Hector and Friends website and Hector and Friends Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, so you can always watch it together later at some point if you ever wish to. But I will investigate exactly what happened. I received a few messages on my phone, just checked, and people could not log in to the event. I don't know what happened. But thank you very much, everyone who joined tonight, because I know it's almost 8:30 now here. So somewhere might be early morning, afternoon, or early or late evening, whichever. But you spend time, took time out. And as I said before, from the platform of ISP Events, we always encourage upcoming talent and help them and support them. And this is one of the initiatives that we have taken, that to support authors like Renata, who's upcoming. She did not had support from the publisher, and just to let everyone know that that's a self-publication book. So all the funding that went into this whole process, which is very lengthy, which is very tiring, which is very time-consuming, and it was all funded by Renata herself. So hats off to Renata, because you did not let your passion die, despite of the gap that you had from 12 years to until now. And also you made it as a charitable cause, which is also very, very noble and good in your own way. Plus those who have any kind of interest in these activities, or if they wish to become like an author or anything else, so they would keep both things intact. So even if they're writing books, so they would make sure that this also helps some cause at the same time, while you're providing some kind of entertainment, whether it's a book, whether it's a music, whether it's a CD, whether it's a composition, or any form of art and culture. So thank you very much, Renata. But before I would say goodbye, and before I pass it to Renata to say final few words, I would just read that quote again. Maybe few have missed, so I would just like to read that quote from famous Czech writer Milan Kundera. He says that dogs are linked to paradise. They don't know evil or jealousy or discontent. To sit with a dog on a hillside on a glorious afternoon is to be back in Eden, where doing nothing was not boring. it was peace. So I hope this philosophy and this spirit should reflect in our daily lives, where we don't keep grudges, and where we don't feel discontent, and we don't feel jealous with each other or for each other, whether it's a small thing or a bigger thing, and just try to be content for what we have, and not to moan and complain for what we don't. So on that note, I would say thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to Marta. Thank you to Renata. And I'll pass it to Renata to say final words, and then we will say goodbye.
Thank you so much, Faisal, and also a special thank you to you for the whole support given from your side, and that also keep going me on the still pushing the whole process with promotion of the book. And that's why I also encourage everyone also that please keep your eye also on the events which Faisal is organizing in the meantime, because I think it's really important, like the thing what he's doing, that even if his business is slowed down and he cannot be really fully active in this, the things that normally he would do with the events, he's still trying to do some alternative activities for the people, like traveling as well, or like some kind of the outdoor meetings, which I think it's really important. And I would like to say big thank you for that, like from everyone else as well. And please keep going like that. And I think it's also a good message for the people that if you have any kind of the ideas that you would like to keep inform me and Faisal, that maybe you look for the support with any kind of the activity. I think we are both very happy to actually give this kind of the support and make it actually real, because I think it's very important to not really give up on your dreams. I wait for my dream exactly 22 years. Wow. It's pretty long, but the way how you feel afterwards, it's so huge and so special that I wish this kind of the feeling to everyone. And there's not like dreams which are not enough big or enough or they are not actually enough, let's say everything is possible. You just have to believe it and never really resign from that. And actually this is how I would like to close this this event to please keep your hope for better future, and keep going with make your dreams come
Sorry,
true.
before you end it, I just wanted to ask one question.
Yeah.
Some has also asked this question. So when is the second book coming?
That's my favorite question. Like everyone is asking when the second book is coming. And to be honest, I'm truly believe that it can happen this year. I cannot really promise which month, but I have like really hopes that, that I can make it even this year, because I have already a few books in my head. It's just the question to put them to the paper. And obviously I have now much more experience with publishing as well. So obviously the process can go much more quick than it was with the first book.
So, well, that's very exciting news. And I hope and pray that, when the second book comes out and then we do the launching of that book, that would be like, big party, big in-person event, so everybody could join,
yes,
person and
exactly.
Not doing this online or virtual launching for that.
Yeah, finger crossed.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining. And I wish everyone a good night or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Look after yourself, stay healthy, stay happy, and just be content and thankful and grateful for what you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.